Good evening, Juanita Phillips with ABC News. The Baird government is in trouble tonight after the disastrous result in the Orange by-election. Deputy Premier and Nationals leader Troy Grant has been forced to quit, and his deputy, Adrian Piccoli, is also going. With his coalition partner in crisis, Premier Mike Baird is now fending off questions about his leadership. State political reporter Bridget Glanville.
Troy Grant led the Nationals to the biggest by-election loss in New South Wales history. He had no choice but to go.
I spoke to my colleagues about it, and I just didn't want the turmoil to continue.
There was a 35% swing in the primary vote against the Nationals in the seat of Orange. The greyhound racing ban, forced council amalgamations and leadership were the reasons voters turned to the Shooters Party.
It's certainly not what I wanted to do, but circumstances are what they are. You know, the community have a perception that we're not listening to them. That's not true, but that's their perception, and that's the most important thing, what they believe and what they feel.
Yesterday, Coffs Harbour MP Andrew Fraser threatened a leadership spill. He's angry at how Troy Grant and Mike Baird made the decision to ban greyhound racing.
He just wasn't connecting with the people. I think when you make decisions in Cabinet without taking them to the party room, it's evidence that you are not listening to the constituency.
The front-runner to replace Troy Grant is his good friend and small business minister, John Barilaro.
As far as I'm concerned, John Barilaro has the experience. He's a small businessman. He knows how tough it is in regional New South Wales.
Look, I've said clearly that I'll support John Barilaro if he stands.
John is a very hard worker. He's very upfront. He's a great communicator.
The opposition says the Premier should also take responsibility for the big loss in Orange.
They're trying to make poor old Troy Grant walk the gangplank to get the heat off Mike Baird. It's the policies of Mr Baird that have driven his government into a cul-de-sac.
Right till the end, the Premier was sticking by his deputy.
Incredibly proud to serve alongside him, and obviously today is a sad day for him, his family, his friends, but also a sad day for me.
Tomorrow, Mike Baird's allegiances will have to shift as the Nationals vote in their new leader and deputy. Bridget Glanville, ABC News.
Troy Grant's decision to quit the leadership ends a rapid rise through the political ranks that few saw coming. In just 3 years, he went from country cop to second in charge in New South Wales. It's been a rough ride ever since, as he and Mike Baird tried to sell policies that were deeply unpopular in the bush. Nick Dole reports.
Troy Grant.
When Troy Grant arrived in Parliament 5 years ago, few of his colleagues would have guessed he'd soon be leading them. But in 2014, Andrew Stoner's sudden departure created an opportunity.
I'm enormously grateful and I feel enormously privileged.
Troy Grant's police career spanned 22 years, patrolling what he called some of the toughest streets in the state.
I, Troy Wayne Grant.
Since becoming a minister, he's been at the centre of some of the biggest political brawls in years. He helped enforce Sydney's lockout laws.
Sydney deserves a safe, vibrant nightlife.
Then he had to lead the Nationals to an election in which coal seam gas cost them dearly.
What we've had is a debate where everybody is yelling at each other.
It didn't stop there. The government's forced council amalgamations met stiff resistance in Nationals territory, but it was about to get worse.
This is a bloody awful day.
The decision to ban greyhound racing triggered an outright revolt from some of his own MPs.
Steps can be taken to clean up the industry rather than this sledgehammer approach of just shutting it down overnight.
Are you confident in your leadership, Troy Grant?
Absolutely.
The pressure got too much. The ban was reversed, but the result in Orange suggests the damage was already done. The week he took the top job, Troy Grant said this about his leadership style.
I think I'm practical, pragmatic, and I'm a realist.
Facing another bitter fight, this realist has decided it's best to bow out. Nick Dole, ABC News.
And state political reporter Bridget Glanville joins me now. Bridget, who are the front runners to replace Grant and Piccoli?
Well, as we mentioned in my previous story, it's looking like John Barilaro is the front runner for leader. But in terms of deputy, there's a few names floating around. Blair, who's from the upper house, but there's also some female names, Melinda Pavey, Leslie Williams and Katrina Hodgkinson. And Juanita, the New South Wales Nationals have a target of wanting 50% women by 2025, so they are going to need to look at addressing this issue of having more women in leadership positions. conditions.
OK, and how are things looking for Mike Baird tonight?
Well, not very good. He's had to answer a number of questions now about his leadership because of the decisions made, and the coalition is struggling at the moment. You cannot have a result like they had in Orange in a safe national seat for them not to now be concerned about what the rest of the electorate is thinking. Today's decision by Troy Grant is going to force Mike Baird to possibly do a major reshuffle sooner than he wanted to.
Bridget Glanville, thank you. New Zealand is still being